welcome to Aftertaste Part 1. This is a dating sim in which you have completely forgotten who you are. However, you enter a cafe and a very good looking but albeit strange man seems to know you very, very well. Let's get started. How would you like to be addressed? She, her. The bell rings above my head, and the door shuts softly behind me. The scent of fresh brewed coffee and miscellaneous baked goods fills my nostrils. This cafe looks so cozy. How nostalgic. I don't think I like coffee, though, but I'm also not sure if I like it. I forget what I was planning on doing then. Maybe I've just come by for a quick snack? But just like how I can't remember if I like or dislike coffee, I can't remember if I like or dislike croissants or lemon bars. I have to retrace my steps and figure out what I came here for. And that's when my eyes land on him. What a looker! Wait, get a hold of yourself! Sitting at a table by the bookshelf, the extremely handsome man types at a laptop that looks dreadfully old. So pillowy, it's got light bouncing off of them. I'm not really focusing on the outdated technology though. I'm focusing on his everything else. You mean like his boobs? Wow. Oh! He pauses to run his fingers through his lavender-dusted hair, brushing most of it out of his eyes. The skin of his rather impressive-looking forearms sneaking out from under rolled-up sleeves is sun-kissed and sweet-looking. The entire manner of dress feels odd to me, but I don't know why. Dark purplish colors accentuated by gold accessories match his hair, but my eyes can't stop. No, that's not right. They refuse to move away from his bountiful bosom. Yeah, same. God, that is so bountiful. My God. Jeez. Wow. The sheer cloth stretched across his chest leaves only a little to the imagination, but that's alright. My imagination is as boundless as he is. The man's gaze rises. I've been staring for longer than socially acceptable after all. He flashes an inviting smile, taps a few more things on his laptop and closes the lid, sitting back and taking a sip from his mug. His gaze wanders away, but his smile does not fade. Okay, keep it cool. I'll figure out whatever I was doing after I speak to this man. I'll be quick, really, I will. But maybe I should get a drink first while I'm here. As they say, when in Rome, do as Romans do. Though I'm not sure if that applies in a cafe where you're supposed to get a drink or a snack. You know, the barista's kinda hot as well. Do you come here often? I mean, of course you do, you work here. I walk up to the barista. They seem kinda bored until they see me, giving a small wave. Good morning. Sun is shining nice today, isn't it? I totally wish I was at home enjoying the weather, but my shift is almost over. Yeah, the weather is great. I can't remember what the weather is. I'll just take a coffee with a lot of cream and sugar. The barista gives a nod, punching it into the register. It's an old-timey one, which is mildly fascinating. When it comes time to pay, I go to pull my wallet out of my pocket, but it's not there. Surely, I have to have a wallet, right? Trying not to seem frantic, I pat myself down, jamming my hands into every pocket. But I come up empty. Shoot, sorry, can you cancel? I guess I left my wallet at home. My face heats up in embarrassment. No matter how hard, I will it not to. Moments like these are almost as embarrassing as the ones where my card gets declined. They give me a sympathetic look. Just when they're about to cancel, though, a strong voice carries itself across the cafe. Don't worry, put it on my tab, will you? Now my face burns for an entirely different sort of embarrassment. My mind races with thinking up an appropriate apology and expression of gratitude. You're always so nice, sir. So the barista calls back and I run the transaction through. I stare there at the counter dumbly. The barista turns away and grabs a coffee cup, adding in plenty of sugar first. In an effort to cool my head off so I can at least pretend to be calm when I meet my coffee savior, I open my mouth. Do you have plans after work then? Or just want to enjoy the sun? The barista pauses and continues to fill the cup with sugar. Not really, just don't want to be here. But I did get a new toy for my darling little snake, so I'll set it up. Plus he'll be hungry, I bet. When he gets hungry he starts eyeing his own tail. Honestly, he acts like I've never fed him in his life. Anyway, here you go. They hand me a mug with a tan-colored coffee. Steam rises from it, and I take it carefully. Oh, thanks. Hope you get off soon then, so you can take care of your pet. Thanks, me too. They lean in, dropping their voice to a whisper. Subconsciously, I lean in too. By the way, Yona over there really is nice, but he's always alone. Make sure to treat him super nice, okay? I swallow, thank them for the coffee, and nod. Steeling myself for the inevitable, I take a deep breath and turn around. And immediately get caught up in how beautiful the man's eyes are. Again, with a wry smile, he beckons me over. I hold fast to the mug. Well, time to... Are we ready to go talk to hot, sexy man? I sit down across from him. Oh my god, Jesus fucking Christ! Wow, wow, he really does have... He's got a massive window. Oh my god. I like the buckled collar right there, and I can see everything. Hey, you must come here often, right? The barista said you come here often. Oh god. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh, thanks for paying. Don't stare at his boobs. Don't stare at his boobas. Don't stare at his boobas. I'm staring at his boobas. They look so squishy. And immediately blow my first impression. Seriously, how lame can I be? But Yona seemed not to mind, chuckling. He takes a sip of his coffee. Oh my god, don't wink at me like that. I'm not ready. No worries. I recognize you by the door. I'm a big fan, you know, so I jumped at an opportunity to help you. Apologies if I overstepped my boundaries. Wait, you recognize me? Ron, that brings up a very good question. Who am I? When I walked through the front door of the cafe, I'd forgotten what I planned to do once inside. Which is normal. Walking through doors seemed to make people forget that sort of stuff all the time. That's why I was intent on retracing my steps until Yona met my gaze and I moved down my list of priorities. I hadn't stopped to realize I can't remember anything at all. This is gonna prove troublesome, isn't it? I'm an amnesiac. Even my name eludes me. Yona seems to know who I am though, so I must be somewhat famous enough. Even though I can't remember what I could be famous for. The man across the table from me sets his mug down, and I notice it's half empty, filled with pure black coffee. Of course, who wouldn't recognize one of the most famous detectives of all time? You're like a modern-day Sherlock Holmes. Someone right out of an Agatha Christie book. Sherlock Holmes? Really? Yona considers for a moment, thoughtful. Actually, my latter assessment might be closer to reality. Herculean... Oh, I can't pronounce his name. In the flesh. I scratch my chin, trying to recall any sort of memory that would make this sound believable to me. I have a journal, so I guess I'm taking notes to try and figure out who I am. Me, a famous detective. For some reason, it's hard to believe. Sensing such disbelief, Yona waves a hand, dismissing both his thoughts and mine. I hope I didn't offend. I suppose you probably get compared to fictional detectives often. I know how tiring comparisons like that can be. Really? Who does someone like you get compared to, if you say such a thing? It has to be Adonis. No, well it might be just that. He certainly looks the part. Oh yeah, he certainly looks the part, alright. Hey yo. Ooh. Yona wastes no time answering the question, as if he was prepared for this. His glasses shine, almost menacingly. The Greek god Adonis. It takes every effort of every fibre of my being not to fall right off the chair from internal embarrassment. Can he read minds? Is that so? I wouldn't have made the connection at all. Really? Yona says nothing, simply smiling. I wonder if he can see through me. Maybe I should move on to the next topic for my own sake. So, if you know who I am, who are you? My, what a broad question to ask. He pushes up his glasses, grinning from ear to ear like I said some sort of secret joke. I didn't think it was all that out of the ordinary though. Should I be more specific? That might help. I'm terrible at talking about myself, especially when you don't really give much to go off. Your name is... The barista said your name was Yonah. He told you correctly. Ugh, I can't handle it when he winks. Stop it, put your boobs away. I can't do this. You can indeed refer to me as Yonah. It's honestly such a pretty name. I think it suits you. Really? Yonah doesn't say anything immediately to that, as if he might be lost in his thoughts. His expression doesn't change though, even when he finally responds. He continues to wear that ever-pleasant smile. You think so? Oh my god. Of course, I wouldn't say something like that and not mean it. Trust me. Yona nods, and he says nothing further about this. Do you have any other questions? What do you do for a living? I'm a writer. He gestures to the laptop, patting its closed lid gently. Really? What sort of stuff do you write? He considers the follow-up question for a moment or two. Thoughtful. Mainly mystery novels, sometimes horror novels. I am quite a fan of locked-room mysteries, and I tend to specialize in them. At least they're the most fun for me to figure out. They don't sell well nowadays. In general, I mean, they used to be quite popular back in my day, as it were. So, compared to your other things then, and other people's other things too. My novels are pretty standard fare, I would say. Is there anything else you'd like to ask? What are your hobbies? What do you like to do for fun? Fun? Yeah, like hobbies. Knitting, golfing, drawing? I can't remember for the life of me what I enjoyed doing for fun. Maybe Yona telling me about his will jumpstart part of my memory. Yona considers the possibilities. Thoughtful. I enjoy reading, but that may come from being a novelist. I do enjoy researching all about coffee, however. Coffee? He holds his cup up, as if displaying a sample in an experiment, and considers that too, with a tilt of his head. Coffee. Tasting, sampling, brewing, mixing. I even frequently travel to coffee bean fields just to take in the scent and roast the beans in a specific personal way. Like how some people are all about wine tasting, wine making. That's how I treat coffee. In fact, someday, his words catch in his throat and he hesitates. It's the first time I've seen him close to nervous since I sat down with him. My type of man, boobs and coffee, but he's so pretty. He shakes his head. Never mind, it isn't important. I want to ask him about what he was going to say, but maybe I should focus on something else. Where are you from? Are you from around here? I say the question easily, like I was born to. But Yona's posture changes ever so slightly, almost perceptibly. He sits a little bit straighter, smiles just a little bit smaller. I think I wasn't supposed to ask something like that. He might have had a bad home life, or maybe all of his family are dead. I think about apologizing, then he finally speaks. No, his tone is cool and even. I am from dreams. Only a man who looked this good would appear just in my dreams and nowhere else, right? He says it so seriously, like I have no choice but to believe him. I'm not certain you would understand. Is there anything else? I don't have anything else I want to ask him. I think that's it. I don't have any other questions to ask right now, probably. I made you talk a lot though. Sorry about that. He waves a hand, dismissing the thought of being a bother with a serene smile. And I enjoyed having someone to talk about myself to. It isn't too often that such an opportunity comes up. It's unfortunate, but not too many people talk to me. Why not? Is it because you're so intimidating? You are kind of sitting here with your tits out. His phone number, is he single? Really? I'm glad to have been able to help then. Is there a reason why you're always alone though? His boobs are intimidating. I do a lot of my writing here in this place. I would assume people are generally being considerate and not wanting to bother me. Wait, I'm not bothering him, am I? My worry must be written across my face because he chuckles. It's alright. It was I who invited you here over for a chat after all. You didn't encroach upon my work time whatsoever. I'm ahead of schedule. At any rate, so I can afford a little... How shall I say this? Goofing off? You wanna goof off back at my apartment? Where do I live again? Do I even remember where I live in this game? Right, goofing off. Is this what goofing off is to him? He must be quite dedicated to his work. I'd love to hear about your novels. Wait, does that sound too eager? We can goof off in his apartment if we forgot ours. Oh yeah, that'd be so fun. If you'd like to share them with me, of course. I add that last line hastily. Yona places his chin in his palm, leaning on his elbow. Why, of course I shall tell you about them. But I do think it is better for you to read one of them yourself. At least one. How many books have you written? He winks. Dozens. It'll take you weeks to get through them all. Why does that sound sexual? Are you propositioning me? I accept your proposition. But I'm sure you have all the time in the world. I have a life, you know. Would you like to be a part of it? Unfortunately, I do not have any more time for the day. It's getting rather late, so I should be going now. Yona says this as he looks at the clock on the wall. The sun's golden rays coat the floor of the cafe. My eyes glance out the window to see the days slip by. Slowly, but surely. I assume this moment would never end. In fact, I don't want it to end. Swallowing such shameful thoughts, I turn back to Yona, who wears that soft smile, those eyes that drill right through the very core of my being. I almost forget how to speak. We'll see each other again, right? He gives me a look. It's one I can't well describe. It almost looks like one of hunger. Hey, yo! I feel like it's a different sort of hunger, but like, I wouldn't mind being like a spread on a table, if you know what I mean. God, he's so pretty. I have a feeling we met for a reason. A classic line straight out of a romance novel. At least it sounds like something that'd be from one. It goes straight through my heart and out the other end. My ass? At any rate, Yona doesn't seem to notice. Or maybe he does and simply doesn't care just how utterly love-struck I've become. God, he's so gorgeous. We'll be seeing a lot of each other in the next few days. Yeah! You ever just see a man that you want buried so deep inside you that when he pulls out, he gets crowned King Arthur? Ugh. Is it just me? Or is it really hot in here? And beyond? Beyond what? Beyond my pants? I did talk a lot about myself today, but I want to get to know you tomorrow. He says tomorrow definitively, as if there's not even a shadow of a doubt that we wouldn't cross paths once more. He definitely looks hungry, like he wants to devour me. Yes. Ugh, eat me. My face heats up. Yeah, my face was heated up a little while ago, you know? It's been like this for a while. It's kind of hot here. Yona takes to his feet. He's already put his laptop away, and without me even realizing, so caught up was I in his voice and looks and words. He never stops smiling. I'll say it again and again. He never stops smiling that dreamy smile. Again, it was a pleasure to meet you, detective. I'll see you tomorrow. Sleep well. Yona, my pillow's flat at home. Can I use yours? Leaving me no room to respond, Yona picks the cup that he had been sipping from all day. He drops it off at the countertop, behind which the barista is busy cleaning the espresso machine. He is so hot. I cannot handle this. Yona does not look back when he exits the cafe abruptly, leaving me behind. I sigh, quite a heavy sigh, burying my face in my hands. Why is it that I feel like I want to be devoured by him? That's because you do. I mean, I wouldn't mind it. That sounds bad, doesn't it? It sounds, well, anyway, I want to take stock of this somewhat strange day. I breathe in, then out, in, then out. I feel remarkably calm, even when I realize I didn't really get anywhere in learning who I was. Well, I did learn that I am a world-famous detective. I suppose that counts for something. A sigh escapes my lips and my shoulders slump forward in defeat. Burying my face in my hands, I stay like that for a moment. The sun had completely set by now, and the fluorescent lighting overhead flickers once briefly. The cafe is silent. Besides the barista, I'm the only one that remains. Somehow though, I get the sense Yona remains too. At least his presence lingers all around me. I struggle not to think of where he's gone for the night. Does he have a home of his own? I presume so. At least, someone of his caliber must have an expensive roof over his head. I wonder how he decorates. It'll be something charming and elegant, just like the man seems to be himself. Does he live on his own? Or does he live with a family he doesn't want to tell me about? Sighing, I shake my head. I really shouldn't bother with such thoughts for the moment. For the next few moments, I wonder about where I'm supposed to stay. Is my house around here? Or am I just visiting? If the latter, then where? I surely can't sleep out here on the street, but it wouldn't make sense for a detective to not have a bed, especially someone as famous as I supposedly am. I think for a few more moments. I feel like the answer is on the tip of my tongue. Does Yona need a flatmate, considering I need a place to stay? I can cook really well. Come on, think. The answer to my problem is in my inner coat pocket. I just have a feeling this is completely and utterly true. Without a moment's delay, I reach inside, finding a thin piece of plastic within. It is labeled the Night Castle Hotel. Flipping it over, it tells me the specific room number the card belongs to, 225. If I go to my hotel room, will Yona just be lying there oiled up on the bed? That's right, I do remember staying at an extremely fancy hotel. I'm relieved to know I didn't lose the card. I don't know what I would have done if I had. Maybe just sleep on the couch in the hotel lobby or something. But they surely wouldn't have called the police on me for loitering, and that wouldn't go well with my superiors, probably. I tuck the card back into my coat's inner pocket. When I stand, my feet have become leaden and heavy. It makes it a little difficult to move. I'll just have to deal with it for now. Well, I take my own cup to the counter, realizing I didn't drink much of it at all, setting it next to Yona's. The barista notices me, and winks. The barista kinda looks like Sakusa Kiyomi, and I find that extremely hot because I love him. My face flushes. I chew on my bottom lip. Giving a small wave of farewell, I hurry out of the cafe, pleased to learn that I do not forget what has just happened upon exiting. The bell chimes, and cool, fresh air fills my lungs to their capacity. Such air from outside the cafe is so crisp it contrasts with the ambient warmth of the inside. Finding a new sense of resolve due to the atmosphere out here, I straighten my back and take a few steps out onto the road. I turn around to survey the front of the cafe and surrounding areas. It has a somewhat gothic, old-fashioned exterior. Somehow, this feels exactly like the type of place I'd not only want to go by myself, but a place I'd find someone like Yona in. To the left of it is a used bookstore. A lamp glows softly behind frosted glass windows, but the sign reads closed. Beyond the bookstore lies an ice cream parlor. Like the bookstore, the shop appears to be closed, its windows shuttered. Spring hasn't come, so there's no way a place like that would open for season yet. To the right of the cafe looms a grand hotel. The building is so tall that it pierces the clouds themselves. No matter how far I crane my neck, I can't see the top of it. This must be the Night Castle Hotel where I'm staying. To the right of the hotel is a fish and game shop. There are displays of wooden fish, deer, and rabbits on the outside, and the awning is torn. But otherwise, it also appears to be closed. Somehow, I feel disappointed. I look back towards the cafe where the barista has come to stand in the window to flip the sign from open to closed. It really must be getting late. Without further ado, I pass through the revolving door of the hotel. I have no problems calling an elevator up to the second floor. There doesn't seem to be many people out at that time. Even the front desk was unmanned. Approaching room 225, I swipe the card and the door beeps slowly to allow me entry. Once inside, I close the door behind me. I'm overcome with a sudden wave of fatigue. I don't bother getting changed. I barely have the awareness to take my shoes off before climbing into bed. My eyes slip closed, and I fall into a deep slumber. The bell. This is a different barista. The bell rings above my head. It really is quite a pleasant sound. Soothing. Like yesterday, the scent of freshly ground coffee envelops me. That too is soothing, even if I don't care much for the taste. I force my eyes to scan the entire scene before looking towards the corner for him. I don't want to be disappointed prematurely. The barista manning the counter is different. They don't seem particularly interested in doing work. Instead, they're playing on a handheld video game console. Oh, there's 2 other people here. 2 customers are present today. A man at his laptop who looks very disgruntled, and a woman reading a book, calm and serene. They might be fun to speak with. Now, look, he's here! Look at the light reflecting off of him! I allow myself a glance towards the table Yona and I sat at the previous day. There Yona sits, beautiful and elegant as ever. He brushes his hair back with his fingers, even though not too much has fallen onto his face. They look huge. Though he has his computer with him, it lays closed and off to the side. Instead, he reads from a book with a black cover. I can't see the title from over here. He brings his mug to his lips, sipping peacefully, beautifully. I swallow something thick. Hey Yona, good to see you again. A frog caught in my throat. Have they grown since we last saw him? I want to so badly say that I had a dreamless night, but I can't. I'd even rather say I had a nightmare, but I can't. You see, my dreams were filled with Yona. Even saying it like this, my internal monologue makes me feel like someone entirely and wholly love-struck. In this dream that seemed to last for hours. Well, I mean, Yona is from dreams. What were we doing? Should I remember the dream? Sure, why not? I don't know whether I can actually stop myself now that I've already started to remember it. Oh my god, are we getting a flashback of the dream? It began in my hotel room at least, I think. It looked like a hotel room, at any rate. I was just about to get into bed and rest for the night when a knock came at my door. Even though it was late, I didn't see a reason not to answer it. But I did grumble the entire way to the door. My complaints died on my lips though when I saw it was Yona. We didn't speak aloud. Anyway, somehow we knew what the other was thinking. He took me by the hand, leaving me just barely enough time to close and lock the door behind us both. He led me to the bed. There we embraced one another and I lay down in the bed, arms spread out on either side of myself. What, like a starfish? He straddled my waist, leaning down, and then Yona. Oh, Yona devoured me. Okay, this went in a completely different way than I thought it was gonna go. He began with my heart, cutting it out with fingers as sharp as a beast's claws. While it was still beating in his hands, he bit into it, blood dripping down his chin. The strand of his bangs fell against the muscle, blood coating the tips of his soft hair. Even after his second and third bite, my heart continued to beat. The bump. Oh my god, okay. There's some weird whispering sounds in the background of this. I watched him slowly eat my heart. I didn't stop him. I don't know how long it took him. Once finished, he leaned down and kissed me on the lips. Hey, at least we got a kiss. I tasted my own blood on his tongue. It's really embarrassing to admit it, but I wanted to devour him too. I bared my teeth and sank it into his neck and I drew blood. We consumed each other, piece by piece, kiss by kiss, until there was nothing of either of us left. Okay. Hold on. Wait a second. I really shouldn't be remembering this when he's right in front of me. Oh, okay, well then that was an adorable dream, wasn't it? I squeeze my eyes shut and exhale a forced breath. Yona suddenly looks up from his book and a grin blooms on his features. He's peering at me. He looks really happy to see me. Awkwardly, I give him a small wave. He waves back, gesturing towards the seat across from himself. I nod, holding up a palm to signal for him to please wait for a moment or two. I really should get something to drink, but first, heading my pockets, I pull out my wallet. It was in the hotel room. I noticed when I awoke this morning and I was certain to not forget it a second time. I put the wallet back into my pocket right next to the keycard. The barista doesn't look up when I approach the counter. The barista's hot again today. Jesus. Are all the baristas hot here? I give them a few moments to notice me. It's a polite thing to do. They continue to play their game. I can sort of see their screen from my vantage point. They seem to be playing a platformer, controlling a white-haired man and destroying various undead creatures. I clear my throat, hoping I don't sound too impatient. Their fingers do not stop hitting buttons, but they do look up. and they don't seem too pleased. Why do I feel kind of bad for interrupting them? What is it I'd like to order? You sure? The question throws me off so bad I can't answer it right away. Am I sure I want to order something at a cafe? Is that what they're asking? Well, am I sure I want to order? Yes, I'm sure. I'll just take a regular coffee with a lot of cream and sugar, please. They roll their eyes, turning back to their game, and they pause it, put the handheld to sleep and stand up. They do not speak the entire rest of the time they brew the coffee, adding in copious amounts of cream and sugar. They didn't even look at me. Unceremoniously, they hand me a mug of piping hot coffee. That'll be $25.25. Sorry? They roll their eyes again, tapping their foot against the floor. $25.25. Pay up or leave. $25.25. That much for a single cup of coffee. Maybe it's the sugar and cream. Are they charging extra for basic condiments? Oh well, it's already made, so it'd be a waste to tell them to throw it out. Though I'm reluctant to do so, I hand over my credit card. The barista swipes it without a care in the world before handing it back. Now I feel extra terrible for Yona having paid for me yesterday. I really have to make it up to him. A see-through display case with multiple tiers. Inside are various baked goods on immaculate dishes, a row of bear claws, some plain butter croissants, an entire tray of brownies with only one brownie missing, an assortment of muffins in a few different flavors. I think he's just annoyed that we interrupted his game, so he'd upcharged us. There's a few more items too, including a 3-tiered miniature chocolate cake. If only I were a sweets person. Okay. Even still, all these fresh-looking desserts are making my mouth water. But looking at the barista, how angrily they're looking at me, I decide not to push my luck. Besides, I can think of someone sweeter. Who even am I? An espresso machine. Since I've only ever gotten coffee that doesn't contain espresso, I've never seen it being used. I wonder if Yona prefers espresso or plain coffee, or does he like them both for different reasons? I don't really like espresso though, but if I got a shot, would Yona be impressed? Before I could think of ordering a shot, the barista glares at me. Guess I should move away from here for now. I can't talk to these two. Hello. The man with the laptop seems troubled, and he doesn't immediately notice my presence when I approach him. I'm wondering if I should even approach him at all right now, actually. As I get closer, I realize he's talking to someone via a fancy one-eared hands-free headset as he angrily types into his laptop occasionally. I make to turn away. I'm thinking I ought to come over to him later on, but at the moment he looks up and sees me and smiles gleefully. Look, I told you, you cannot break building code for something as stupid as this. The contractor already said he can't do it. Yes, by contractor I mean Roger. Who the hell else would I mean? But hey, look, listen to me for once. Something came up, so I have to go. We'll talk about this later. Goodbye. The man practically rips the headset off from his ear, throwing it carelessly onto the table. When he started smiling at me earlier, I'd completely frozen in place. I feel like these three are all some sort of monster. Each. Something is not right here. But when he looks back at me, still smiling with that maniacal smile, I remember I'm a person that can move and interact with other people. I close the distance between the both of us, but I don't sit down at his table. I peer across the table, eyes falling on a rather hefty duffel bag. It's something so large, I'm struggling to think what could possibly be in it. After all, how much stuff is this guy needing that he has to bring a duffel bag to a coffee place? You really saved me, pal. That specific client was giving me such a hard time. He kept me trapped in here for hours on that phone call ever since I sat down here this morning. Couldn't you have just told him that something had come up? He looks guilty all of a sudden. Sheepish. I don't really like lying much, even for small things like that. So, it was good that you came along. Talking with you here gave me the perfect excuse. Though, I only have a little bit of time before I had to get back to actual work. That damned idiot kept me from doing much of anything, really. As a reward, I'll let you ask me a single question. Make it a good one, pal. His smile is crooked, and he's missing a tooth. Is this a reference to the crooked man? I'm scared. I can ask him a single question, but honestly, there's at least a dozen I can think off the top of my head. This guy makes me really curious. Mentally, I narrowed my options down to just a few. Sure, I'll take you up on that offer. I have a bad feeling about this. Have you ever talked to Yona? I steal a sneaky glance at Yona over at the nearby bookcase. The man follows my gaze. Do you know him? What do you make of him? That Yona fellow? Tell you the truth, pal, I haven't gotten too many chances to speak with him. Though every time I come in here, he's already in here, and I come crack a dawn. It got me wondering if he waits outside for the barista to open. Other than that, he normally just keeps to himself. I always see him writing. Usually, I can't really come in and dilly-dally with people I ain't know. Too busy, see? But Yona is like a fixture of the cafe. It'd be weird if I showed up one day and he ain't there. Sorta like, I don't know. It'd have me guessing if someone like him was real at all. Interesting, that's sort of specific. I'm kind of a specific guy. He beams at me proud. I give him an earnest smile. Well, that's about all the time I got today. The man closes his laptop rather gruffly. I might add. It's like the polar opposite of the delicate way Yona did the same action yesterday. Thanks for answering my question. He begins to pack up his things, and when he straightens up, he claps me on the back and nearly sends me flying. He uses so much force and gusto for no good damn reason. No problem, pal. Thanks for keeping me busy and off the phone. I'll hopefully see you around sometime. I'll make extra time for you then. That'd be nice. I've got a few more questions after all. Right, and I got a few more answers. See ya. He flicks his wrist and raises his eyebrow in farewell before slinging his bag over his shoulder and hauling it out of the cafe. But I watch him stop just outside the door and pull his cell phone out of his pocket. His expression instantly sours. He answers the phone and begins yelling. I'll look away for now and focus on other things, if only to give him some privacy. Let's talk to her. Ooh, bathroom. The door bears a plaque that reads bathroom. I don't have to go right now. False? The poster immediately draws my eyes. It'd be hard to ignore it, probably. It's entirely black and white. The silhouette of a horned and winged man, if it is indeed a man at all, pops out against the pure white of the moon. He reaches forward, downward. Beneath him is a town or a village. The spire of a church rises above all other buildings. At the top of the poster it reads, Faust. The way that this is vibrating is telling me that it is something significant. I've never seen this version of the tale, but I've heard of it and I've seen it performed live on stage. The movie itself is basically a cult classic. The fact that the poster of it is plastered to the wall in a small independent cafe is a little concerning. I stare at it for a little while before turning away. Out of the corner of my eyes, I see the beating of wings. When I turn back, Mephistopheles hasn't moved. I trigger the light. Surely, that's suspicious. There's not a single spot on the bookshelf remaining. It's so completely and utterly stuffed with books. Shelves in the middle bow inwards and downwards. I feel as if removing any would cause the entire shelf to break. It's probably best to leave it alone. As for what type of books are on the shelf, I can't really tell. I want to say that all the titles that stretch along each spine are in a language I surely can read, but when I go to focus on any one of them, the words blur together. I try squinting. I try closing one eye. I try leaning closer, but to no avail no matter what I do. I can't seem to read what books they are. Maybe I'm just tired. I'll try again another day. Let's talk to her. I almost feel bad about bothering her. She's completely absorbed in whatever she's reading. During the few minutes I observe her, she'll occasionally smile a tiny grin or giggle softly, or shake her head disapprovingly. She usually ends up shaking her head whenever she's about to turn the page for some reason. Well, enough standing here looking like a creep. She looks nice enough. Anyway, I'm sure she'll be helpful. After approaching her, standing perpendicular to the seat she's at the table, I gently tap the table in an effort to get her attention, but not startle her. The woman peels her eyes off her book, training them on me almost expectantly. Her expression shifts though. While she is looking expectantly, waiting for me to say something, her smile has fallen off her face completely. I knew I shouldn't have bothered her alright, but it's too late now. Sorry, am I bothering you? I can leave. She shakes her head, pointing at the chair opposite of where she's seated. Oh, no, that won't do. She now violently snaps her book closed and places it on the table next to her iced coffee. Come now, stand up for what you believe in. Sit down with me now that you've broken my focus. She's mad, but she attempts to hide it. She is bad at hiding it. Sure, thank you. I smile, unsure if I really should be thanking her, and sit down at the designated seat. I set my mug on the table close enough that it's easy within reach. My brows furrow as she subtly peers inside, then her face blooms with a smile. It's clearly fake and judgmental, with the way it doesn't reach her eyes whatsoever. I see you're a fan of sugar and cream. I nod, my lips pulling into a tight line. Yeah, I am. I don't know why she's judging me for this though. Her own drink is almost completely white. She reaches for a cup, which isn't that much of a reach at all, and slurps it through the straw, somewhat loudly. I deserve this, I think as I cringe at the sound. Now, is this something you needed, or did you interrupt me for no good apparent reason? You don't seem the type to do the latter though. Her laughter is shrill enough it makes my ears ring. I cringe again. She places a hand on the purple and blue book next to her. I should only ask her 2 questions maximum, I think, if only for my sanity. Can you tell me about Yona? I steal a sneaky glance at Yona over at the nearby bookcase. Her gaze somewhat reluctantly follows mine. Do you know him? What can you tell me about him? She harumps. I'm thinking, maybe she just doesn't like speaking to people in general. Everyone knows Yona, and Yona knows everyone. He's here all day, every day. All he does is either read or write on his laptop. He doesn't speak to me, and I don't speak to him. She pauses then, removing her hand from the book, looking down at her palm. So, sometimes, she peers at me from between her spread fingers, closing one eye. I want to speak to him, which is rare for me. I don't ever want to speak to anyone, ever, and that's a fact. But him, I feel drawn towards him. I do, and I don't like it. That's why I usually go home early on days like this. I finish only 4 chapters before going home instead of the usual 8. I don't want to be in the same room with him for long. Bad news, I think. Bad news. The second bad is vibrating. There are certain employees that have quit too, because of him. I think, because of him anyway. And I usually think right. The music has changed. There's like whispers and stuff. But others love him. Others can't get enough of him. She leans forward and slams her hand on the book cover again. Resist it, and you shall be free. I honestly have no words. For a few long moments I just stare at her. She seems to be waiting for me to say something. Noted. I will take heed. What an odd woman. Have we met before? I still don't know much about who I am. Perhaps this woman can shed some light on me. Have we met before? She eyes me up, squinting. She smacks her lips, takes a sip of her drink, slurping, and leans back, crossing her arms over her chest. No, I've never seen you before, not once in my life. She says it matter-of-factly, so definitively, that it makes me self-conscious, makes me feel stupid, for even daring to ask. But, I think I've seen you in my dreams. Huh? Yes, no mistaking it. I've definitely seen someone like you in my dreams. If not you, then someone that looks very, very, very similar. The last time I spoke with her was about 2 or 3 days ago. I had read 4 chapters at home, went to bed, and she was there. In the dark, yes, in the dark she was there, and she called out to me. Don't let your guard down. Remember the being most important to you. That is what she said. And then she disappeared, and I had a pleasant dream in the theatre with the Cheshire Cat at my side. She shrugs, nodding. I'm a great actor, you know. That's a fact. Yeah, I wrote down what she said to me that night, and since she's you can have it. Oh, thank you. Maybe I should become a prophet of sorts. I think that's all The woman smiles at me and picks up her book. She didn't even let me finish before turning her attention back to reading, caught in her story. Now, I was just about to finish the 2nd chapter for the day, wasn't I? I think I can stay for the full 8 chapters today. How delightful. Is it because Yona's preoccupied with me, so she's safe? Alright. Yona, I'm here. Oh, I love him. Yona looks like he's been expecting me. Hi, hello. Oh, he's so gorgeous. He's so pretty. When I approach his table, I don't say anything, waiting for him, instead, to say something. It's hard not to be excited, but flashes of the dream I had last night appear in my mind every time I blink my eyes. He doesn't look up, chuckling quietly a few moments later. I did offer you the seat with me already, did I not? Oh, yeah, I suppose you did. I sit down across from him. He closes the book, setting it off to the side, and takes a sip of his coffee. He peers over the rim of his glasses into my own cup I've set on the table. It seems you put even more sugar in it today. More cream, too. Yeah, the barista didn't seem too friendly. They just kept adding more and more. I think they didn't want me to come back up to them and ask for more later. Wow, quite efficient that one is. Were they really? I failed to see what qualifies as efficient in his eyes. You should try it without so much cream and sugar. You'll be thankful you did so. I'm not sure I can do it black, but maybe I can build up to it. That's the spirit. He smiles and I feel the urge to try it black next time. Oh, so cute. Anyway, did you get a good night's sleep after we parted? My face heats up and my gaze immediately turns away. I sure did, but I can't say that. Unfortunately, I take too long to answer the simple attempt at small talk and Yona picks up on it. He frowns, concern written across his face. Oh dear, you must have had a nightmare then. A nightmare, he says. I mean, it was a good dream. I'm sorry for making you remember such a terrible thing. No, you've got it all wrong. For some reason, I thoroughly enjoyed the fact that you ate my heart and I ate yours. For another reason, I want it to happen again. I take a deep breath, steeling myself trying to think of what to say. How do I explain this without sounding like a deranged lunatic? After all, who dreams something like that the day after meeting someone? Who fantasized about being devoured in the first place? Apparently me. My eyes meet his once more with some level of difficulty. Okay, tell him about the dream. On further thought, I had a really nice dream. You were there. I instantly regret saying that, but it's too late. The words have already tumbled out of my mouth. Whatever, I'm at least thankful I've at least left out a few details. Yona tilts his head, my admission giving him pause. And then, his cheeks flush, and he smiles a different sort of smile. This makes him seem livelier than ever somehow. He's alive too, just like I am. Look at him wink. Bashful. After he's recovered from the initial shock, he looks away, tracing random patterns into the table with a fingertip. Is that so? I'm fluttered. To think I've already made such an impression on you. Well, you can make another impression on me if you come back to my hotel room tonight, eh yo? He clears his throat, trying to seem a bit more professional. This only makes my face feel even warmer. I feel lightheaded. It really is flattering. I assure you, no wonder you didn't want to tell me at first, but it's nothing to be embarrassed about. In fact, I think it's entirely natural for humans to have that sort of reaction. So you say, but I don't think dreaming of eating one another is natural. Something just tells me that. I avert my gaze again, even though he isn't looking my way. But we can't sit like this in silence forever. I clear my throat. Anyway, how about you? How did you sleep last night? Nicely, I hope? He picks up his mug to sip at its contents again, taking his time. The smile on his face said he had a very, very nice night. It was pleasant. It was pleasant. That's all he ends up saying, looking over the rim of his glasses again, gazing at me with the same fondness, the same hunger as he did last night, as he did in my dream. It's enough to drive anyone mad. I do feel mad. But he says nothing more, whether it's on his quality of sleep on the prior night or any next topic. It's almost like he wants me to ask him about it. Then you must have had a nice dream too. Then the dream you had must have been really nice, I presume. Nice. Doesn't even begin to describe it. You were in my dream after all. And together we had a bountiful feast. You and I, and after, I swallow subconsciously, leaning forward in an attempt to hear him easier. Well, you know. He winks, dropping his gaze, but his smile only broadens. It's a knowing sort of smile. Then we both dreamed of each other, did we? And it seemed to have been that sort of dream as well. I'm not really sure what to make of this information. That being said, maybe he's lying. Surely it isn't a coincidence we both dreamt of the other in that manner. Maybe I'm being too obvious. Ugh, there's no way he would know. His expression, as easy and amicable as he continues to speak, pulling me from my thoughts. You know, this might sound kinda silly, but I really think we're bound to each other by fate. You might have thought our meeting yesterday was just by chance, and perhaps it is in the end. But I like to think we're bound together by a thread of some sort. Thread? What do you mean? In other words, I think we're destined to have met. I think no. I believe with my entire heart that we might have known one another in the past life, that we're meant to find each other in every life after that first one. Perhaps it was centuries ago. Millennia. Yet here you and I are. He sips his coffee. The steam threatening to fog up his glasses, but he puts the cup back down before that can seriously happen. Here we are, enjoying the atmosphere of the cafe, chatting away about such things. I don't know what to say, so I don't say anything. Really, all I can do is stare at him, my mouth slightly agape, eyes wide. But I have to say something. I'd like to think that too. You know, it does sound silly, but his expression falters slightly. I hurry on with what I was about to say so he doesn't jump to conclusions. I'd like to think such a thing too. He smiles at me again and leans forward, his voice dropping to a whisper. Fate and time are love, you know. It's quite sweet, quite admirable. Really? I whisper my words back. Yes, that's why fate knows what it knows before someone is even born. It knows what will happen to any person, to any living being, an infinite amount of time before they're even born, let alone physically conceived. So, they've made a sort of bargain with one another. He considers leaning away, his tone returning to normal volume. After a moment, he seems satisfied and nods. You can think of it that way. I prefer to think of it more as marriage. If not literal, then a marriage of ideals. Marriage, is it? I think about the dream from last night again. Yonah's hot lips on my skin, his teeth sinking into. Get a hold of yourself. A marriage is one thing, but that wasn't even close to one at all. You're quite the romantic, Yona. His smile turned shy, somewhat coy. I try to love as much as my body will allow. Hey, yo! How much does it allow? Can I find out? You gonna come over? Though, sometimes it seems my body doesn't allow that much love, and I feel about to burst at the seams. Something is bursting alright, right there. If I had someone to love, and they loved me back. He stalls, kicking his feet under the table, demure, embarrassed. I think it would be at least a lot easier for me, to be honest. He makes an interesting point, and I think I could fall in love with him. I think I could try, at any rate. Before any consequences cross my mind, I blurt something out, my mouth working faster than my mind. Yona, I'd like to ask you something. His attention, though it had already been on me a little bit, snaps to me immediately. He looks at me with questions in his eyes. But he otherwise says nothing, waiting for me to speak. Hold on, what am I doing? My mind finally catches up with me and I suddenly feel extremely nervous. I look at Yona. I really look at him and I feel insatiated. I want to devour Yona whole. I want to make him a part of me. Something is really wrong. I mean, something's been wrong for a while, but... And I want him to do the same for me. Amorphous blob time? Is this where we transmute into one another and then we become one thing? I rub the back of my neck, sheepish. It's still embarrassing, so I glance away. Yona, I'm staying in the hotel next door. Do you want to come so that we can see if I can love you? Oh, this seems to catch him off guard. His posture stiffens and he lowers both hands to the table. His gaze falls too. He stays silent for a few moments, then he looks back up and I manage to catch his eyes. Yona smiles at me. So kindly, so wanting. Yes, why don't we? He abruptly stands up and holds a hand out for me to take. This seems like a bad idea. God, this man is so gorgeous. But this seems like a really bad idea. Again, I just don't think. I immediately take his outstretched hand. Wow, he actually accepted. I didn't think he would. He laces his fingers with mine. His hand is just as warm as I imagine it to be. I look down at our interlocked hands and butterflies. Their wings are violently fluttering within, fill my stomach and chest. I can feel and hear my heartbeat in my ear. Yona squeezes my hand and I squeeze his. The other occupants of the building don't matter to me or him anymore, but we are the only ones that truly exist in this moment. We leave our half-drunken cups on the table, and Yona leaves behind all of his belongings, and we depart the cafe. Does this not strike you as strange, Edie? Do you not want to grab his stuff for him? The pair of us go through the revolving door and into the hotel lobby and up the elevator, holding on to one another like our lives depended on it. As the elevator is taking its short trip, Yona turns to me, placing a hand on my cheek. He gazes into my eyes. A flame burns within him, hot and bright. I can feel it. This must be his love. I don't know about that. His boundless love that I'm meant to receive. There's no one else in the elevator with us, but even if there was, I wouldn't care. Leaning forward, I close the distance between us, my lips seeking his. He eagerly returns the gesture, sighing into my mouth. Here, detective. His voice carries some semblance of a warning tone, if playful. He puts his hands on my shoulder and gently pushes me away. When we part, both of us reluctant to do so, even by a few inches. He's smiling, his face flushed. I want to make him mine. Why don't we wait until we're more private? I want him to make me his. You're right. Sorry. Got carried away. It's alright. I'm eager myself, you know. It's then that the elevator dings and the doors slide open. The hallway that waits in front of us is dimly lit. I take his hand again, leading him down to my room, 225. I swipe the keycard and the door opens for me without any fanfare. The next few moments blur together. One moment, we haven't even crossed the threshold into the room. The next, we're tumbling onto the bed, kicking off shoes and socks haphazardly. Unlike my dream, he's the one that lies in the bed, and I'm the one that climbs above. Yona peers up at me with eager, hungry eyes, and I can only assume I look down at him with the exact same expression. Leaning down, I bite, eliciting sounds from his lips and a small amount of blood. The blood drips down onto the pure white stiff sheets of the hotel room bed. Detective, devour my love. I say nothing. I bite, I gnaw, I tear, I swallow. I consume Yona's love in a flurry of crimson and white bone. What the fuck is going on? I don't stop until nothing, not even myself, is left. Wait, this isn't right. I had to get hold of myself. Something is telling me this is definitely very, very wrong. Oh, like right now? What about when we were eating Yona? I feel like that was a pretty good sign. My head hurts. Yona sits in front of me, still waiting for me to ask my question, ever patient. I swallow a mouthful of no, it isn't blood, it's just saliva. A headache blossoms, strongest at the base of my skull, intensity of pain slowly inching its way up in order to coat the back of my head. I don't mean to, but I end up wincing. My hands clam up, sweat trickles down my back. Yona watches me carefully, curiously. I swallow again. I only taste coffee-flavored saliva, slick at the back of my throat. It mingles with the taste of iron unpleasantly. Sorry. My throat feels hoarse. What were we talking about again? Yona frowns, worry written across his face. He reaches a hand out to touch my arm. The gesture is gentle, his fingers warm. I pull my arm away, putting my head in my hands. Where Yona touched me just then, the skin feels burnt all the way down to the bone. Something is wrong. But when I look, nothing has changed. It's still my normal skin and hair and bone completely untouched within. Yona hesitates and pulls his hand away, resting it in front of him again. Are you alright, detective? I feel as if I may vomit when he calls me that. When he says it in that tone. I don't want to remember. I don't want to think. Sweat runs down my face and I stand up, the chair scratching the floor in such a way that it makes even Yona wince. I'm fine. I am most assuredly not fine whatsoever, but that is why I have to go anywhere else. I can't be near him. I can't be near Yona. He will ruin me. Yona says something to me. Something I can't understand. I'm simply not passing it, but he's definitely speaking to me. For the briefest of moment, he looks irritated. His brow is furrowed and angled down, his glasses shining enough to obscure his actual eyes. That frightens me. I don't know why. I don't say anything further to him. I turn away from the table, approaching the counter. The barista does not look up. I don't care though, that's fine. I just need to be away from him. I can't look at him. The sound of movement comes from behind me, and I stiffen, pretending to be extremely interested in the display case on the counter. My breathing quickens. I feel him approaching. Darkness begins to close in around me. I cannot breathe, and the headache has spread to every inch of my head, leaving no part spared. The pain is overwhelming. My chest tightens too, an invisible hand squeezing my lungs and heart. My stomach fills with molten lead. I close my eyes. The bell above the front door to the cafe chimes. The atmosphere instantly feels lighter, but I don't dare check quite yet. It's only when I see his shadows pass over the barista's uncaring face, over the pristine counter, over the pastries in the display. Only when the shadow is gone does it get easier to breathe again. The barista gives me a look. For once, they appear sympathetic, which is different from their usual apathy. They nod. My shoulders slump. I bury my face in my hands, wiping away wetness I don't know the origin of. When I pull them away, my palms appear bright red. I choked down a scream, squeezing my eyes shut. Tentatively, I open one, and then the other, finding my hands are entirely clean. I force air into my lungs, filling my chest, then force it out. When I turn back around, I do this with quite a bit of effort. Yona is gone. I swallow and I just taste saliva. Yes. Shuffling along my seat, I fall to the chair, slumping forward until my forehead presses against the cool surface of the table. My hands grip the back of my head, but I take comfort in the slight pressure, and then I calm myself down. I don't do anything special, I don't think. I stare at the grain on the table and begin to count the lines I can see. When I run out of grain in my direct line of sight, I start again. I usually don't freak out like that, and I've never felt it so intensely. I don't know what came over me. I don't know. I don't know anything. Even though I wanted him gone, Yona must hold the key to who I am. If only I can find out who Yona really is. Then, just maybe, I'll understand everything. I close my eyes, my breathing having returned to normal. Though I have a headache still, I still feel fine otherwise, so my head raises of its own accord. I stand up, do a few stretches. Everything truly is so surreal. But I have to find out who I am. Or else. Leave cafe. Okay, she's still reading. I shouldn't bother this woman. Leave the cafe. It's getting kinda late. The sun is starting to set. The light pouring in from outside the window casts odd shadows onto the floor of the cafe and the people within. Alright, let's leave. I think I've seen and done and spoken to people enough. I'm getting kinda sleepy. As if on cue I stifle a yawn and fail. The sun continues to set, turning its huge eye through the window and onto me inside. I return my cup to the counter. The barista doesn't even spare me an acknowledgement. That's fine with me. Before I exit the cafe, I should go over a few things. Thank goodness I've been taking note. I pull out the notebook and reread what I've written down. Okay. Yeah, we've collected like a bunch of stuff. I feel like I've got nowhere really. But I also feel like I've learned a lot today. I'm just one step closer to the truth. I know it, but only one. I feel sick to my stomach, and a frown tugs the corners of my mouth down. For some reason, I feel like I'm running out of time. Regardless, I should get some rest. Though I know it's futile, I wave to the barista who still doesn't look away from their game, and I leave the cafe. The bell chimes again, and I take comfort in its presence. I look up and down the street. It seems like the 3 shops on either side of the cafe are still closed, even though I swear it's a little earlier than when I left yesterday. I'm especially disappointed the fish and game shop keeps its door shut tight. I was hoping to pursue its wares. I enter the hotel instead, forlorn, and take the elevator up to my room. Like the previous night, I don't bother to change, only pulling off my shoes and collapse into the bed. I stare at the unfamiliar, yet familiar ceiling. This is not my home, but I've been here for long enough. Or have I really been here for long at all? It's difficult to tell. With a sigh, I turn over onto my side, pulling the covers up to my chin. I shut my eyes. Sleep is a little more difficult tonight, but once I fall asleep, I do not wake up. But I do not dream. At least, I don't think I do. But yeah, that was Aftertaste. I had so much fun with this. I love Yona's design so much, as you can probably tell, very obviously. But yeah, I'm a big fan of very subtle, like psychological horror. So gothic horror and cosmic horror are 2 of my absolute favorite genres. So anything that incorporates that as like an undertone is instantly an absolute hit in my books. I love the whole detective vibe as well, because I know this isn't like the theme that they're going for, but detective vibes and also whatever Yona has got going on is giving me kind of cosmic horror, 1950s like Eldritch vibes, which is a setting that I absolutely adore, even though this isn't explicitly it. I'm so excited to discover my lost memories and find out who Yona really is. Hopefully there's a good ending where I actually get to end up with him and not eat him, because I would love that. That man is gorgeous. If you guys want to check the game out, link is in the description box below. If you guys like the video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. Also, if you want to hang out outside of videos, I stream on Twitch 4 times a week. Feel free to come over and hang out with the community. We would love to have you. But yeah, that's all for now. Until next time, take care.